Welcome, everybody, to the new episode of Polybius, where we investigate Web3 in travel and everything that is around Web3. So, GenAI, decentralization, crypto, metaverse, and so forth. Today, we are in an unusual location for the show. I'm doing something with the opera theater in Parma, Italy, and every year there is this beautiful festival. I think it's the 23rd edition. I could be wrong, and so you may want to double check that. And that's basically to commemorate Giuseppe Verdi that was born like a few kilometers from here. And I just did a lecture this morning about possible interaction between the music business, opera business, and metaverse and immersive spaces. So we decided to do it here. So at the end of the event, Jill, and this is even for you. Maybe I will just keep an extra 7-8 minutes, something like that, just because I want to show you some of these extracts that you see on the big screen on my back, and all of these extracts are coming from the archives of the theater. So you will be able to see something that you will not be able to see anywhere else. Is directly from the archive. So I hope this is something cool on top of what we're discussing. Without much further ado, let's go to my guests today. We got Devia. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Thank you, Devia, for being with us today. And then we got Vincent. Vincent, we've done this a few times together, so you probably need an introduction. Um, but I think some people will need some kind of introduction anyway. So I will start. Let's start with you, Vincent. Can you say like just in 30 seconds who you are,
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
do,
sure thing.
who you represent?
Yeah, yeah, sure thing. And thanks again for organizing this, Simona. One of the pioneers, I think, in Web3 and especially in travel. What we do at Gain, it's Growth Advisors International Network, is we provide guidance to startups, provide guidance to hotel groups, to DMOs, in the worlds of Web3, AI, anything that has to do with technology. And personally, I'm heading the artificial intelligence division of Gain, where um, we just audited a hotel group in Europe on their AI readiness and recommendations on what to do with AI within their specific hotel group. But that is a short version of what we do.
Yeah, so you're the perfect person for what we're doing today. And then Devia, can you tell us a little more about yourself and what you do? Devia, or if there's a problem with the mic, uh, Vincent, as we fix that, maybe let's start with you, right? Um, Look, I want to start with something that I was working on a couple of weeks ago, and so I reacquired the rights of my latest book to publish an English version as well. It was something that was only published in Italian. I really wanted to have it for the English market as well, but with publishers is always a headache, and so I decided to buy back the rights and publish the book. Right. So I started translating the book, and when I got to the AI paragraph, I started rereading it for this translation. I it, it was so bizarre because the book just came out last year, but it seems like it was 25 years ago when it comes to AI. Right now, this is not the case with other paragraphs, but when it comes to AI, especially with generative AI, it looks like the last year was 20 years in. So, Vincent, would you agree with the statement that uh, the speed of generative AI and how generative AI is reshaping so many different industries is really exponential? And this is the second part of the question. Do you think that at some point this will be so quick, so fast that we will lose the ability to understand the possible future implication of the technology.
Yeah, thank you, Simone. Again, king of the longest questions. I think we addressed it a few months ago. Thank you
Yeah,
for
we know already.
that.
Michael gave
Yeah,
me the title.
reiterating that award. Yeah, no, but it's completely true. And I have to remind myself that we're moving at a very fast pace. In this industry and specifically AI and Web3. Just now, a couple of days ago, when I delivered the final presentation to one of the hotel groups, I was referring to ChatGPT as a traditional AI tool or a traditional tool at the law. So, and then the director of or the commissioner of the hotel group for this project started laughing, and I asked him, was there something that I missed or whatever? No, he just said this is a you refer to as a traditional tool, right? But only now it came out in November 2022, right? It just shows how accustomed we've become with this type of innovation and how fast paced it has been this innovation. So I definitely agree with you, and it's going to change, and it already changed quite a couple of industries. Nevertheless, when I do master classes in AI, and I ask even hoteliers of that are Generation Z or millennials, 50% of them did not even log into OpenAI or ChatGPT for that matter, right? Not even talking about BARD or any other large language model. So there's a lot of opportunity still to gain for a lot of industries. But it has been a tool that has been adopted fairly quickly, and it has changed already quite a few industries, but there's a lot more to gain with just understanding. It's really an early adopter's game still.
But tell me something. Do you see any difference? Because I don't like to talk or even think in terms of generations, right? But it looks like when it comes to Gen AI, there's a big gap between different generations. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? Do you see that, or do you think that is just a question of understanding the technology?
Oh no, certainly. I think one of the quotes that Mark Andreessen did, or the stories that Mark Andreessen did in the Joe Rogan podcast, I think a month ago. He was telling his kids about. He was doubting a few weeks if he should introduce his kid who was below 10 years of age, if he should introduce ChatGPT to him, right? And he finally gathered the strength or gathered the wisdom to introduce this to his little kid, right? And he introduced it, Mark, as one of the greatest gifts of his lifetime to his kid, right? Give him access to ChatGPT, and the kid was like, "Oh yeah, so this is just a computer where I can just ask any a question to. It's not a big deal, that, right?" And that is exactly the I guess the fight, the struggle that we have nowadays with younger generations and older generations, right? For us, it might be fairly simple, all these technologies, but for a lot of older generations and our kids to come, right? It's going to be a whole different story. They're expecting this from us, right? The younger generations, they're expecting this to happen. This is not a big issue for them because of the pace of innovation, right? That we've seen over the past few years.
And my point is always the same. Kurzweil used to say that if you walk 30 steps on a line, just make 30 steps. Like if you walk 30 steps exponentially, you got to 1 billion steps. And my point is that even though maybe not with such a degree of focus, but we kind of knew that this was going to happen at some, that technology would have started to be so quick that at some point it would be pretty much impossible for us even to understand the possible implications / applications in the future. So, and it's interesting because at the end of the day, you got people introduced to let's say OpenAI, ChatGPT, just for brevity. And the first time they see it, it just like their jaw drops. And then you got other people, and again, I think you're right when you said that could be a generational thing, and they just say, okay, yeah, that's no big deal. We can expect that. Do you think this will change the way we manage hotels and destinations in terms of having younger managers, for example, could now be a huge advantage, not only in terms of flexibility and adaptivity to change, but just because they kind of take for granted that they do have these systems that can automate all the boring stuff.
Yeah, so in terms of automation, and I think that boils down with what you can do with Gen AI in specific. You can let your frontline employees and your managers do more with less. Actually, do the work that they were actually hired to do. Right? I'm talking to frontline managers in front office that spend 3 to 4 hours every day of answering emails. Of literally 95% of emails are copy paste from an Excel sheet. Right? Regular normal questions, right? That what time is breakfast, what time is checkout, do you have parking, yada yada yada, right? So you're going to have a lot more resources and a lot more joy, I guess, for your staff while on the floor. So it's definitely going to change the way we work. And by the way, it's way more creative, right? ChatGPT, a recent study found that it belongs to the top 1% of creative human thinkers, right? And that is not
Oh,
what we
wow.
expected when AI came out. Yeah, it's way more creative than
Yeah, but
the
Vincent,
common
that
human mind.
this says a lot of this is a lot about the level of creativity that we reach as a human species as well. I think you can like read it the other way around as well. No.
Yeah, sure. That's true for sure. But it's definitely going to cut the waste, cut the waste in a lot of hospitality operations, and that is so important for a lot of hoteliers because they're already struggling with labor issues, with the energy crisis, right? So doing more with less is top of mind, and this is and Gen AI can essentially alleviate all these worries of these hoteliers within a couple of hours of improving your operations through this.
Yeah, Devia, I don't know. Are you back? Can you try your mic? I think we're still facing some issues. Well, Vincent, so I think this will be a talk between you and me, at least for the first part. Okay. Um,
No worries.
uh, but okay. So tell me, um, tell me something because especially when it comes to hospitality, right? And I think it's a semantic thing as well. Um, we do have this idea that if we introduce too much technology, we can lose the quote unquote human touch with guests, with our own staff as well. Now, I think that to a certain extent, ChatGPT arrived at the right moment to solve the problem of labor shortage in our industry after what happened with COVID,
Yeah.
right? So I think that, and again, I don't have the truth here. It's just me thinking. I think that the fact that we are less, uh, uh, let's say, hard when it comes to adapting technology such as Gen AI is because like 3 years ago, this was something maybe cool that could automate a lot of the boring stuff. But right now, it's pretty much a necessity. So do you see a correlation between the rise of Gen AI and the drop of staff that want to work in the hospitality and travel space?
Yeah, I think the relation between that is going to be very positive because again, we're going to cut with Gen AI. You can cut a lot of mundane tasks for the staff, right? You essentially, I remember, what is it, 7, 8 years ago, I was working in hotels, right, and literally night auditing, during a graveyard shift, and we would go for 4 or 5 hours through Excel sheets, printed Excel sheets, checking if the credit limit was still up to date with a room number. So if we had to check if we had to increase the credit card limit and then therefore charge the credit card, right? That was a manual process that we did for 4 or 5 hours. It was the most painstaking task that you could have, right? Nobody was looking forward to that. And it's honestly like those kind of tasks, they add up, right? You have a couple of tasks like that in every hotel that nobody wants to do, but you have to do it because the technology doesn't enable you to cut it out, right? Or even fasten it up. So the more we automate things, the more we eliminate these mundane tasks for staff, the more attractive the job is going to be. Nobody is complaining. 95% of hospitality workers is not complaining about interacting with people. That is hell. That is why they are in this industry. That is why we, Simona, came in this industry when we were very young, right? We chose
Yeah.
this industry because we want to interact with people and not do these mundane tasks that AI, that computers, that technology can solve. So I think it's going to be a hugely positive effect on our industry if we can, and we're already seeing this. We're already seeing hotels that automate this stuff. They're seeing a positive response from the employees. They have a lower turnover rate. Their engagement is through the roof. So certainly very applicable to the job shortage issue.
Tell me something, because you said a few times, you used a few times the word mundane, right? Or we
Yeah,
can say mundane or repetitive, boring, whatever. And to that extent, I totally agree with you. We're not doing a favor to our staff if we ask them to charge credit card manually, or put enter a reservation into a PMS. I do agree 100% with that. Now, do you think there can be a risk at some point with entrepreneurs deciding that it's cheaper to automate a job that is not necessarily mundane? So it's a job that where actually human can bring an extra value. But at that point, entrepreneurs understand that they can automate that, and by doing that, they can cut down the staff costs that in our industry is huge. And
yeah.
so my question would be, where would you put the line when it comes to the use of Gen AI in an industry like ours?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very good question. I think it has to depend on what kind of business you're in. If you're in the ultra luxury Waldorf Astoria, Six Senses, Four Seasons business, you're not going to automate this. People come to your hotel for a 15, 20-minute check-in. They want to know the local destination. They want to know all the different amenities that you have at the hotel. They want to have a private tour of the kitchen. They want to, have a certain fragrance in their room, every point, whatever. A personalized approach to a check-in, a personalized stay, which, to be fair, that connection you have with different humans, it's not very easy to replicate, right? That doesn't go for business hotels. That same idea, right? What we're already seeing, right? What we're going to see a lot in more business hotels and more transient hotels in cities, airport hotels, where people just stay for a few hours, not even a night maybe. You're going to see a lot more AI integrated that is going to automate your check-in, that you don't have to even pass to a self-check-in kiosk or a reception or whatever, right? Just the other day, I was in Eastern Europe. It was 1 a.m. and my check-in lasted for between 10 and 15 minutes at 1 a.m., right? I was exhausted. I don't want to spend time and time again filling out check-in forms. I just want to go into my hotel room because I'm a business guest, right? That doesn't go, in the summer when I go with my girlfriend to a southern state in Europe, enjoy for a couple, for maybe a week. I want to take it easy, right? Then I don't mind the long check-in because that's what I expect. So I think it depends on what kind of business you're in and what kind of hotel you're at. It doesn't mean that the luxury segment, the Waldorf Astorias of this world, won't integrate AI. No, AI will help them to personalize that 15-minute check-in. It will help them to upsell. Will help them to cross-sell. It will help them to really personalize the entire stay. So any hotel can use AI, but it's going to be different for different segments.
Do you think that at some point we as travelers, okay, and we travel for many different reasons. and our needs are always different, as you say. Just I am the same guest, but my behavior is completely different if I travel for work, if I travel with my family or with friends, right? But do you think that at
Yeah.
some point the exposure to Gen AI in our industry, or even better, to automation, okay, let's put it in a more general sense, will on the long run change our patterns? I make you an example, right? Um, 15 years ago, if you wanted to take a plane, you had to go there 3 hours before the flight, talk to a human being, get your ticket, right? And it was unthinkable to do it
Yeah.
in another way, right? When they first
Yeah.
introduced sub check-in, for a lot of us, this was like low cost companies trying to cut down on stuff. Now the perception is completely opposite. We, if we have to go 3 hours in advance to the airport to talk to a human being, our first thought would be, okay, something is wrong with self check-in. It's not working. Why are you asking me to go there 3 hours before? Maybe there's a problem. And this
Yeah.
change in what, 10, 15 years? So my question would be, do you think that by introducing automation, AI into the travel space, this will also change the way guests that now they behave in a way because they never had any experience with automation in the hospitality space, or very little. But do you think that at some point this will become like the norm, and we will have to rethink everything we know about hospitality?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more of a change issue for the workers and the companies in hospitality than the customer. And why is that? Because if I order something on Amazon, or let's say just my user experience in Amazon, Amazon already knows what I'm going to buy, right? I have a certain pattern, I have a certain behavior. It analyzes the data. Okay, so he's in a workout mood, so I'm already going to provide him recommendations to buy workout equipment, right? Before I even know it. Right? So that the consumer is already used to getting a personalized journey on, for example, Amazon. The same goes on Meta. The same goes on Instagram. The same goes, for anything, for any web shop nowadays that you interact with, any platform for in that regard as well. Same goes for Booking.com. Booking.com does 1,000 A/B tests. Every day 1,000 A/B tests. So it knows what you want, right? Let's not fool ourselves. The consumer is already up to date. What the most important, the most difficult in that regard is to change, I guess, the technology stack of the hotelier or the restaurant, right? That's going to be
Mm.
the hardest change in my regard. Not the consumer. The consumer is
You
already
mean
used
the
to it.
existing? You mean the existing technology stack, like DMSs,
Yeah, exactly.
LMSs?
Yeah, POS. If you look at Oracle, the majority of hotels in the US still use Oracle, which is as we all know, a very legacy system. And sure, they have the cloud version and whatnot, but it's very hard for new technologies to build on top of that legacy technology system, right? So I guess we're going a little bit too deep in the technicalities, but it's definitely a problem within our industry that we have these legacy technologies that we have to build certain things on.
Yeah, yeah, I see your point. And thank you for name dropping. Huh? But
Yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah.
our
I
our
have no
industry,
problem with that.
no problem at all. We're very free here. But I think we know. Vincent, what I think we know this industry. Um, but I think a lot of other industries out there, they have exactly the same issue. I worked for a logistic company for a little while, and to a certain extent, it was even worse than hospitality when it comes to existing tech stack. But I see your point, and I totally agree. But that's a rabbit hole that I think we gotta. I think if I
Right.
remember correctly, I think we got an episode. It's probably in 2 months, and it's all about tech silos, because I think it deserves 1 hour conversation, because that's really the big problem. So thank you for bringing it up.
For sure.
Um, Davia, does your mic work now? Let's try again.
Yeah, it is. Hope you can hear me.
Yay, perfect. Okay, that's good. Oh, thank you so much again. Okay, so let me ask a couple questions, okay, Vincent. So you can grab your water if you want now, but let me talk to Davia for a little while. So we discussed with Vincent a little about different perception of generative AI, and the different perception from different generations, for example, or different guests as well, or even the same guest coming for different reasons. And of course, we know that when it comes to AI, there are so many different layers, right? So like used to make the stay more personalized or to automatize marketing, pre-stay, post-stay, and so forth. Now, where do you see the most interesting applications of Gen AI in the travel and the hospitality space? And if you do have some example, feel free to name drop them.
Yeah, sure, Samar. See, in hospitality industry, I could see so many use cases and implementations uh, where we can go with Gen AI. It's not only on the front desk interacting with the customers, and not only during their experience while they're exploring destinations away from direct connect with the staff. Uh, Whether there is a good implementation at back end as well in hospitality, especially for Gen AI. So, for example, if I take one example, that is customer service. So, see, my personal experience, if I quote here, whenever you call a customer service center, so it depends on the like time of the day and the shift of the person. So different staffs come and sit there and they check your history, and based on that they respond. But with the help of Gen AI, I think the gap that comes up during our conversations on customer service when we interact with the staff and we give our information, and then what we are looking forward for based on that information, they respond back to us. So that interaction could be more fruitful and more personalized if like we take it as a use case for Gen AI implementation.
You mean like let's say I am in the US, right? I'm trying to get in touch with a European property, and the night shift receptionist picks up that maybe he or she is not aware of what happened during the day, and maybe he's a little disconnected from the rest of the day-to-day operation. You're telling me that that exchange could have like a worse conversion rate, for example, or in terms of personalization could be worse. And the only reason is because I'm literally calling the hotel at the wrong time of the day, and this can be solved with AI. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that is actually pretty interesting, and to a certain extent, it's also some kind of normalizing factor when it comes to hiring people. So, do you think that to a certain extent it can also democratize the uh, job roles that we do offer in the industry? Devia?
Come again with your question. Maybe I'm
Let's
not able to
say,
understand.
yeah, the thing is that, so let's say that right now, especially when you're hiring people at the front desk, right? You know that even if you try to build a superstar team, you will always have somebody that is better at something, and that could be somebody with better soft skills or somebody with better hard skills or whatever. And if you add the level of Gen AI, you can actually normalize that so that it doesn't matter who I talk to, what time of the day I call the property, my experience as a guest or potential guest will always be top notch.
So right, absolutely right. And with the facts and the story of the entire day, whatever interactions customer had previously, so all the information already in place because it is a personalized data and it is based on AI. So whatever interactions happen, that is getting feeded into the AI system, and based on that, this the further processing of information is happening, and the response is coming accordingly.
Let me ask you a more general question, right? Because generative AI is nothing, but for a lot of people now, when we talk about Gen AI, we're basically talking about OpenAI, ChatGPT. Why do you think OpenAI was able to be so successful in a little over a year, while other companies, even big companies, and Vincent was talking about BARD, for example, are still struggling, at least in the eye of the perception of the mass? What is so good with OpenAI that it kind of became synonymous with generative AI?
Okay, it is more about the natural language processing and the fineness of that it comes up with. So see, it doesn't matter which age group you fall in. It doesn't matter whether you have a particular skill set or not. In a natural language, if you interact with your chat GPT or open AI, you get valuable outputs. For example, if I'm not a very good content writer, I'm very good in my thoughts. I know what I want to express, but I do not know how to write it down. And OpenAI is
Mm,
something I instruct it or give command or write something in a natural language and also tell it. See, it's more like I'm interacting with that particular specialization. That is the
okay,
behavior. So yeah. So that which is
okay.
making it more popular among all the like all the age groups, and it's a mass. There's a mass acceptance.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. I know what you mean. Vincent, back to you. Um, Pretty much the same question. Have you, because right now we got so many different examples of Gen AI applied to the travel space, from pre, mid, and post stay. Like, can you tell me what is your, or if you have more than one, favorite project built on top of OpenAI for the travel space, of course?
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult because we do these audits, right, for hotels that want to integrate AI. And to be honest, one of the challenges that one of these hotels had is creating constantly a high quality set of menus, right? Seasonality bound, right? They have about 8 hotels in their portfolio, and it's quite a lot of work for the executive chefs to work on this with traditional methods, meaning cookbooks, Google, right? And as we have a large database of all the AI tools to recommend, and there wasn't one that I was convinced that could provide, the chefs that wanted to have a tool that could generate high quality menus, right, bound by seasonality and whatnot. And I was researching all these tools like Chef GPT, and it's not that best quality. So I refer them actually just to ChatGPT with specific instructions for the prompts, right? What I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of ChatGPT wrapped or tools built on ChatGPT that are not the most useful, I would say. There are some, for example, that are built on ChatGPT or on OpenAI that, for example, provide hotels a chatbot, right? So generative AI that is used in chatbots on a website or even on WhatsApp.
So
There's a Dutch tool.
You're talking about like a real-time
Yeah.
chatbots, right?
Exactly. Yeah. 24/7, 365 days a year. I was almost like an AI concierge, to be honest.
Yeah.
It provides you instant replies, personalized to your hotel and to your guest segment and your vocabulary. As we talked about different segments, right? You have different vocabulary standards in the way you talk to guests. A Holiday Inn will talk to a guest very differently than a Rich Carlton, right? So those are all things that you have to be aware of when using a chatbot like that, right? And you have to engineer it like that. And there are companies that already facilitate that. Then there's tools that create entire schedules for you. So instead of your frontline manager, your F&B manager spending 2-3 hours each week on building a schedule for all your all their frontline workers, their direct reports. You can simply plug in all your preferences, all your requirements from your employees, and it will spit out an entire schedule within minutes, right? And obviously, way better than a human could do. And then the last one I would mention is pricing, right? There's a tool as well that integrates pricing fully autonomously into your PMS. So your revenue manager doesn't even have to log into their revenue management system, even if they even had one in the first place, which a lot of boutique hotels, as we all know, don't have yet. So it plugs in fully autonomously the pricing decisions into your PMS, which is again way more accurate than a human could do. Maybe in the beginning not, but after a while, when it trains on your specific data, your specific guests, and the accuracy of the forecasts, it will outperform your revenue management decisions by a human. So those are 3 tools I would say that use Gen AI. That hotels can implement.
And that's interesting because you cover 3 very different areas of the hospitality space, because one is real-time conversation, that's chatbot, it's B2C, and then you got something that's more internal, that it's AI helping you with schedules, and so and then you got the pricing part, inventory, yield or revenue management part. So that's what it's interesting to me, because when we were talking about AI in the hospitality space like 5 years ago, the first thing that came to mind was real-time chatbot on a website, right? And it was very often like a frustrating experience, but that was it, and or maybe like a level of AI in an RMS. That was pretty much all we thought about.
Yeah.
But now there are so many different nuances, and so it's interesting to see how companies are building on top of AI. Devia, we're running out of time. I'm very sorry that we got some problems with the mic. I would like to ask you one last question before we wrap it up. Again, we started by saying that it was pretty much impossible for us to understand the implications and applications of AI only a couple of years ago. So the question would be, I'm not even asking you in 10 years or 20 years, but what do you think will be possible next year that we do not see now? Devia? Okay, I think we lost Devia again. So we already know like a great application of AI could be like normalizing mics during these kinds of events. Vincent, back to you. Let me ask you the same thing, okay? I'm not asking you like the long game, but let's go with the short game. What do you think we could see next year with Gen AI that we're not seeing now?
I think a fully autonomous AI concierge that helps and books the entire guest journey in a hotel. We see bits and parts of it already, but a fully autonomous AI concierge in a hotel does not exist yet. You still have certain interactions interactions that a human, in terms of payment, in terms of billing, in terms of customizations of trips, of yada yada yada, all the specific requirements that a hotel guest might have during a stay of a hotel, is still a lot of human involvement, either calling a different restaurant for a reservation, whatever. But no, that will, I think that is going to be the first breakthrough of neck breaking technology, if you will, in hotels. What we're going to see regarding AI.
I was reading, I think it's today news or yesterday news that ChatGPT discovered the supernova without the help of humans. That's the first time in the history of everything. So I think when you got a system that just came out, at least for us mortals, just last year, now discovering supernovas, I think it's pretty fair that in 1 year we will have that, Vincent. Vincent, what is
Yeah.
the best way to get in touch with you if you want to know more about what you're doing in the Gen AI space and the work you're doing at Gain?
Yeah. So best thing is to contact on LinkedIn. You have my profile in the description of this event. That's always the best way. Yeah.
Very good. Debbie, I don't know if you're back. Yeah, there's something wrong with that. Debbie, thank you so much. Very sorry I couldn't give you the space you deserved. I will share your contacts in the comments. For now, that's all, guys. I wanted to wrap this up like a few minutes before. If you're just connected, you will see that this is not the usual room we do this in. I am right now sitting in the beautiful opera theater in Parma, Teatro Reggio di Parma, for the Giuseppe Verdi Festival. So if you will look around, there are just a lot of screens, and I just wanna show you this beautiful video. These are all archives from the theater. So this is like 6 minutes from the Nabucco. So if you like Italian opera, or if you like Giuseppe Verdi, or just that, this is something you can only see here, or if you are in the theater right now. So I think it's pretty cool. So I would say goodbye, guys. Thank you so much for being with me and with Vincent and with Davia today. We will meet again in 1 month. In the meantime, we're working on the new Web3 podcast. So more news about that very, very soon. And let me leave you with this beautiful Italian opera. I don't know much about Italian opera, but this is pretty cool. And that is the Nabucco. Ciao, guys, and enjoy. Okay. Okay, what is it's not loading. Okay, let me check if it's loading. Just a second. Okay, I'm going to reload this into spatial. This happens from time to time. And okay, I'm loading it here. So in the meantime, again, thank you for being here. We're working on a few things with Hospitality Net. One is a big project of a Web3 podcast that we're launching. We recorded around 15 episodes so far, and I think we will close with probably 20 episodes. It's everything, pretty much everything you wanted to know about Web3 in travel. So we got some of the episodes will be about room distribution decentralization, decentralized OTA, wallet sales. We got a lot of companies joining us from Book to Sleep.io. We got Camino Network, that's the blockchain, travel blockchain, where a lot of these very interesting projects are being built on. On top of that, we got more about DeFi in travel, so the use of crypto, and then we will go into topics such as the centralized loyalty. That is, one of my favorite ones, especially for an industry like the one I work in Italy, where we got like it's very non-branded offer. So loyalty is such a big problem. And then we got another one on decentralized reviews. Very interesting concept if you think about that. I just want to tell you that a couple of the episodes are now on Spotify, but all the rest will be live in a few weeks. So as usual, just follow the Hospitality Net page or check out what I publish on my LinkedIn page, and you will always be able to know what we're doing. So here it is. Let me leave you with this wonderful piece of art. 7 minutes and 30. Nabucco, Giuseppe Verdi. Thank you so much, guys. We don't have much in Italy, but at least we got music. Always great. Thank you so much, guys. See you soon. We'll check that out again. I've followed it 10 times today.